A warm welcome to the channel, Monday the 24th of February 2025. Now, in international news, we have seen that three ships are about 150 kilometers off the coast of Sydney, Australia. Chinese ships. Now, they do have the right of passage, it is international water, but they were doing live fire rounds. Yeah? And this article here, in response to Australia's accusation of China's lack of transparency, and the Australian Air Traffic Control Agency noticed some of the airlines to adjust their flight plans amidst the recent activities of Chinese warships and live fire drills near the waters of Australia. So a lot of the airlines, let's say from Sydney to New Zealand, changed their schedules, rerouted their planes. We have seen before, in 2014, the Malaysian commercial jet that was shot down by the missile, and supposedly an accident, a misfire, whatever. And if I was in charge of the airline, I would definitely move my aeroplanes if they were doing live fire rounds. China actually claims that this is safe and it's nowhere near going to go to some aeroplanes. Whatever the case, I would support Australia and the airlines with this one. You're not going to endanger your passengers. And it's happened again 11 years ago with the Malaysian flight, not the MH370 that disappeared. It happened later that year as well. So it all stemmed, I do believe, from a Chinese jet fighter in the South China Sea harassing or dangerously flying close to a surveillance plane, which Australia has the right to do in the South China Sea. It's an open space. China denies this and says the South China Sea is theirs, even though the International Law and Maritime Commission said this is international waters, it is not yours. But China, the government of China, picks and chooses when to use international law to their advantage, and when it's not their advantage, they would just not use it at all, basically. So why would the Chinese Navy basically go between these two countries and do live fire rounds? It's very unusual and expensive in a way. Why do it there? Why not do it in the Pacific Ocean, where there's a lot more space and away from many countries, just because there may be a mishap? Is it China that kind of like threatening Australia and saying, we can come here and we can show you our military might? The Chinese Navy is the biggest in the world nowadays, but they may have more ships, they may have better technology, but what they don't have compared to America is experience. And when it comes to warfare, I would say experience really does matter with that. So it's just kind of weird, and that's the whole thing. Why do it in between these two countries? Why not do it near your doorstep? And why does China say that the South China Sea or the West Philippine Sea, in some cases, is theirs, and with their 9-dash line against international law? It's again China law. Yeah, I use international law when I want to, and I will ignore it when I want to. This is the Chinese government for you. And I'm not doing this in a way of diversifying the actual situation related to this. It's just the common sense of it, and agreeing with international law, which all countries do, apart from China, unless they choose to accept it because it's for their benefit. And the South China Sea is sort of like a hotbed. It's a major trading route. So many countries do put their navy there to protect some of the cargo that's going through the Taiwanese Straits, or the Straits of Malacca near Singapore, as an example. We want our goods. This is our economy. This is our trade. This is the money. This is what happens. And you don't want a foreign force that claims that the South China Sea is Chinese territory, when the international court has denied that, but China will ignore it. I'm sorry that I'm repeating myself, but I'm trying to get the point across. So maybe it's because the Chinese just want to provoke Australia, and maybe they find Australia an easy target compared to America, who has the second biggest navy in the world, where they would be more in danger. So they're going for a weaker force. It's like the Coast Guard with the Philippines seafarers, that we see many videos of the South China Sea again, where the Coast Guard is in Philippine waters or in their economic zone, whatever it's called, and saying, oh, this is fine, we're not harassing anyone. You are. China is the bully. And now they're trying to expand it to weaker countries. Not that I'm saying Australia is weak, I'm saying it's weaker than, let's say, the American Navy with that, and trying to provoke. And that's what we see. And that's what journalists are advocating in Australian News and International. Why are you doing it? And there's no reason there. 1,000 million kilometers away from the South China Sea, where they do need an international force there to make sure our goods arrive in America, in England, in Europe, because the Chinese, again, claim South China Sea is theirs, but international law says it isn't. Again, I'm waffling on a bit, but you get my point. It's weird why they would do this. And the Australian press, media, people would actually go, why? What are you trying to say? You're not just going to go 10,000 kilometers away to Australia to do live fire rounds, live fire exercises. And one of these, what happens if there's a misfire and it seeks the heat of an aeroplane, like again what happened with Malaysian Airlines in 2014. It's all food for thought. And is it something to worry about? Hopefully it's nothing, and it's just a little bit of show and tell. Look, I can come here with the Navy, like that. That's all I got to say about that. I hope you can leave some comments and some suggestions. Maybe there are some military experts who do watch this channel, and maybe I am completely balmy and I'm getting at the wrong end of the stick. So it would be nice to hear from different points of the story. But please try to avoid the personal insults like fat, ugly, old. Just give me, if you disagree, you can disagree, that's fine, but give me your point of view without any personal attacks to me, which I do get quite often, and I would just ignore them. I would be sarcastic and saying, thank you for your very kind, impolite POV. POV means point of view. That's it. God bless to all. Thank you very much for your time. Bye-bye.